Hello everyone, welcome live to 3Y TV, tonight's broadcast of the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series from the beautiful Iowa Speedway for 200 laps around the 7/8 of a mile racetrack. I'm Peter Short, and joining me in the booth here tonight is Drew Eisenman. And Drew, here we are, Iowa Speedway, a little bit of intermediate / short track racing. We got a little bit of everything here, and that's what makes it one of the fan favorites on the schedule.
Yeah, banked Richmond here tonight in the great state of Iowa. Yeah, it's kind of that weird in between, almost like Rockingham, a little bit smaller, but kind of very similar to me. It doesn't quite fit either category particularly well. I would say that Iowa tends to be more short track-ish, but for these trucks, especially given the amount of downforce these things make and kind of the relative lack of power compared to their Xfinity and Cup counterparts, I think this is honestly going to be a little bit more of a super, or not a super speedway, good lord, but a speedway race, almost kind of like Dover is with these things, and that there's so much banking that these guys can lean on. I don't think there's going to be too much fully off throttle time.
And of course, progressive banking to boot here at Iowa. And if you're unfamiliar with that term, that means the inside line below the first stripe as you see the two go around off of turn 2. The inside groove below the first set of white stripes is less banked than the middle set of white stripes, and then it's even more banked up near the wall, but there tends to be some really big bumps in turn number 1 and 2 that usually prevents people from running all too close to the wall in turns 1 and 2, but we see them use all of the racetrack in turns number 3 and 4, so that should be a lot of fun here tonight. Historically, the middle groove has, in my opinion, been the preferred groove here, Drew, but you're seeing some major variation in lines being run by these drivers right here on screen in practice.
Yeah, I think if you are running by yourself, you're going to kind of straddle. I mean, you're going to arc the corner, obviously, but for the most part, you're going to be just above, straddling, or just below that bottom dash line that you're seeing right there. But I think it's going to be really hard to pass if you're the truck on the bottom. I think especially through 3 and 4, because of the really tight entry, I think that outside groove is going to be particularly strong when guys are battling side by side. It'll be interesting to see if guys try to make moves on the outside or try to stick with the more traditional move of going to the inside, because I think it's just going to be so hard to clear guys here tonight.
I think it will be hard to clear, especially once we get a couple of laps underneath the tires. As you see, the fastest man in the practice session, who has as much writing as you can get. Bumper quarter still there, still there. Oh man, you wrecked Jennifer Jo Cobb. John Cannizzaro Jr. there in the Nestle Nestquick machine. Kind of a throwback there, Garrett, back to the Jeff Green days. Remember that back in the Grand National Series, and really cool looking hot rod for him. There's Josh Sobel. I know usually we have some Josh Sobel fans in the chat as he wheels the number 57 machine, currently 7th on the board in his Toyota Tundra. So some good laps out of that number 57 machine. Tristan Maher in the number 17. Man, Sobel, they're really wheeling it. There is the Bagcraft number 17 of Tristan Maher working his way around the racetrack as well. You see all those bumps in turn number 1 and 2. We always mention those here, Drew. You can really feel them as a driver, but they really upset the truck, and I'm sure at some point here tonight they will lead to some accident.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that statement, Peter. It's a particularly, or it's not a particularly rough or uneven surface, with the exception of those aforementioned bumps, which just make the front end kind of skip along the track and really washes out the front end. And yeah, more prominent on the high side than the low side. So it's going to make entering high into one particularly challenging. You really kind of have to get towards the middle to get underneath those bumps, because if you're high on those things, you're going to lose track position. You're going to lose time because you just can't carry momentum through those things.
Yeah, that's for sure. On board here with the 0-1 of Brian Kaufman as the checkered flag does fall here on practice, and we'll move over into the Craig Setup Shop.co.uk pole shootout here at Iowa. One of these drivers will be picking up that Craig Setup Shop.co.uk pole award here tonight. Only the third one we've given out this season, and it's going to be interesting to see who exactly is able to pick up that pole award at the end of this 4-minute qualifying session, kind of an abridged qualifying session than what we're typically used to. We're used to a 5-minute session, but here tonight at Iowa, just a little bit shorter. The winners so far of the CraigSetupShop.co.uk pole award so far this season: Mike Aiello won it back at Daytona. Nick Kessler won it last week at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. So will we see this driver here tonight add his name to that tally? Matt Cherry in the Stay Tuned Sports podcast with Jimbo, number 54 machine. There is a link to their Podbean in the description of the video here tonight if you want to go have a little bit of a listen. And I will say they are Philadelphia Eagles fans, so if you're a Cowboys fan and you want some good entertainment, or maybe even a Giants fan and want some good entertainment, or I don't know, maybe even a Washington football team fan. Isn't that something? You can go listen to that Stay Tuned Sports podcast. Might get a little bit of extra entertainment, but Matt Cherry is currently fastest of all in the number 54 machine. There, Drew.
Yeah, I'll just say that no one is more dissatisfied with their own team than Eagles fans at certain times. It certainly can be entertaining. Tristan Maher to the top of the boards here in that number 17 machine. Wow, Peter, a full half a tenth clear of Matt Cherry, the only driver in the .3s right now. So a heck of a lap for that number 17 machine. And is he done? Is that up to pace? No, he's bringing that thing on to pit road. And Peter, this is kind of one of those things that I don't think people necessarily use enough, is you can still run qualifying laps, even though your times won't necessarily count, to gain a little bit of experience, maybe practice getting on and off of pit road. These extra couple minutes can be really valuable in gaining a little bit of knowledge going into the race. Yeah, Josh Sobel here using that high line through turn number 1 and 2. No, he's going to pull it down to the bottom side of the racetrack in his number 57. Ooh, Nathan Maurer pointing in the wrong direction. Last week's pole sitter in the number 88, Nick Kessler, does not look like he will repeat his performance at Iowa from last week at the beautiful Atlanta Motor Speedway. Let's check on this driver right here, Brandon White, in the number 24 Pennzoil Chevy Silverado in turn number 1 and 2 right now, using that middle groove, and a pretty good looking Chevy Silverado at that. Comes through turn number 3 and 4 now, right on that second white dash line, and coming to the start-finish line. And Drew, we haven't mentioned it here tonight, but there's a little bit extra on the line here tonight for the pole sitter. That's right, the Becoming Dr. Mashburn podcast Drive to the Top 5 challenge. Just putting everything all together. Technically, it's the Drive to the Top 5 challenge presented by Becoming Dr. Mashburn, the podcast. That's a little bit of a mouthful. But Ben Mashburn has put up some extra money. If the driver who starts on the pole here tonight elects to not start on the pole, but drop all the way to the back, that driver would, of course, still win the accolade of the pole award, brought to you by our friends, of course, over at Craig's Setup Shop.co.uk. But they start at the back. Drew, they're able to race their way through the field to pick up $5, which is always good, and that is an accumulating total. So if the driver does not elect to do it here tonight, that money will roll over to the next race. It won't exactly be every race, but we'll have 11 total races, this being the first one this season, where Ben Mashburn is putting that money on the line. But how about that for the number 17 of Tristan Maher? We will see whether or not he will drop to the back of the field here very, very shortly. And we got drivers out there gritting here, Drew, so why don't we kind of take it away and bring up tonight's starting lineup, starting with the Craig Setup Shop pole award winner, driver of the number 17. Like we mentioned, we'll find out if he's going to go try and get that extra $5 or not. Phillips, no, that's not right. Apologize about that. Tristan Maher and Matt Cherry on the front row. Doug Neal, Josh Sobel on row number 2. Brian Kaufman, Chris Darling, row number 3.
Randy Bledsoe, Randy Purdue, couple of Randys. It's the all Randy row on row number 4, the Randy row 4. How about that? Nick Kessler and Ben Mashburn rounding out your top 10 there, Drew.
And starting on the inside of row 6 is Nathan Maurer with Vinny Valvano starting to his outside in 12th position. In 13th, we have Justin White with Philip Scott starting to his outside. Then Jeff Price in that 14 machine and Cody Brown in that number 8 machine. Rolling off 17th, Travis White in that light blue number 23 truck with Jordan Shepler in the 13 machine starting in 18th. Steven Doziak in that number 55 will be starting on the inside of TJ Buck in the number 84, and that rounds out our top 20.
In the 21st position, William Kerwin in the Kerwin Racing Machine. Evan Bushbosher 22nd. Brandon White, Garrett Gleason on row number 12. Looking just a little bit further back, Joshua Corner and Jason Gracias, row number 13. Gracias trying to come through the field to get another win here tonight. Scott Tompkins, John Canizaro on row 14. Stan Hausman, Adam Dama, and Monty Glover rounding out your 31 trucks here tonight. That will start at the Iowa Speedway. Just checking to see, it looks like Jason Gracias and Scott Tompkins currently not out there on the racetrack. So those drivers not set to take the green flag as of right now. So that will be very interesting. Let's go check on the chat, however, just checking on everyone. We got Rich Sobel saying, hey, Peter, Drew, and 3Y TV. Great night tonight. It is a beautiful night for racing in Iowa for the Iowa 200 here tonight. Beer Street Journal saying, hi there, folks. Of course, Beer Street Journal, sponsor of the BeerStreetJournal.com Grand National Series. Make sure you check them out. They have a bunch of beer emojis in the chat. I just had a Revolver Brewing Dem Berries here tonight, a really good blueberry wheat beer. So in line with Beer Street Journal and the Craft Journal news that they have. So make sure to stay tuned with them. Steven Doziak in the chat as well. And of course, Stay Tuned Sports joining us for 200 laps here tonight. Green flag is about to fall here, Drew, and it is Tristan Maher who gets us underway side by side with Matt Cherry.
Yeah, so foregoing that $5 bonus potentially for that number 17 is Tristan Maher. But not a great start as Matt Cherry starting second, but through 1 and 2 takes the lead going down the backstretch and into 3. Josh Sobel fighting for that third position with Doug Neal. Not a great start for that inside line.
Yeah, a really good start for Matt Cherry. We do know that this particular racetrack is variably banked, and a lot of drivers prefer the line that Tristan Maher is actually running right now, but Cherry able to get to the front for right now. Sobel has gone from 4th to 3rd. Like you mentioned there, Drew, that outside line performing very well. Chris Darling also used that high line to briefly get up into 5th, but here comes Brian Kaufman, who started to his inside. They're going to be side by side, and meanwhile, we're side by side for the race lead as well. So already this racetrack, Drew, showing why this is a fan favorite on the schedule. It's a driver favorite. It is one that you can attack this racetrack. You can run side by side. You can run different lines. Personally, I get really frustrated with this racetrack because it can be very difficult to make a pass, but Tristan Maher, they're able to get right back to where he qualified out front, clean air on the nose of the number 17.
Yeah, kind of in pretty stark contrast to what we saw last night at Texas Motor Speedway, where very much a single groove racetrack. Here at Iowa, it does give you some options, but the more I'm watching this, the more I'm thinking that high lane is going to be the way to go when racing other trucks, as we've just seen it prevail time and time again. We're seeing drivers defend on the bottom, as 3 wide is certainly an interesting choice here on lap 5 going into turn 1, the 25, maybe a little bit of wall contact out of turn 2 right there, but these guys get it sorted. Yes, they do. And yeah, that was Randy Purdue in that number 25 machine, the 81, I believe, the 04, the 4, all in a bit of a gaggle right here, battling at the tail end of that top 10. And Peter, yeah, you mentioned it. It does provide great racing for the fans, but for the drivers, this is what happens a lot, is because it's so hard to pass, it almost kind of clogs the field up a little bit, and you get this kind of mass side-by-side racing because nobody can pass each other, so they just slow everything down to where the field just gets all bunched up.
Yeah, we got the hashtag Row4Randy side by side back there, but here comes Doug Neal. Good showing so far for the Simbox number 77. Looking to the inside of Matt Cherry. He's going to take it away, and Matt Cherry here having some problems. He's really stacking up that outside groove here, Drew. Looks like Chris Darling. Oh, contact further back. Philip Scott, and that's Brian Kaufman. They're going to get together, and looks like the 99 of Scott's going to go around. That will bring out the first caution flag of the night. Bushbosher, they're barely scooting on through. But what happened here to bring out caution flag number 1 here tonight?
Yeah, definitely some contact between the two down the front stretch, but how it happened, we will have to see in the replay. Yeah, the 99 trying to make it 3 wide, and just there was room, but it had to go absolutely perfectly. Maybe some net code, hard to tell, but honestly, Peter, no real harm, no foul. No one made contact with the wall or significant contact with each other. So barring any crazy iRacing damage that tends to happen, I think these guys will be okay. But that's a tight squeeze again, not even past lap 10, and we see guys repeatedly taking it 3 wide, and that's kind of one of those deals, Peter, where you see an opportunity, and because it's so, that was actually pretty dangerous coming back on the track like that. But because it's so hard to pass here, you almost feel the need to seize those opportunities to get that track position, and this is what it can lead to.
Yeah, we'll put this into 3 wide TV slow-mo as this 3 wide battle here, hard racing, as Randy Perdue and the 99 looking like they made some contact there, and then the 99 goes down into Kaufman in the 0-1, and they kind of beat and bang across the start-finish line all the way heading towards turn number 1, and unfortunately the number 99 Philip Scott goes around, so we'll see whether or not he elects to come down pit road here, and we are live, and as I say that, the number 99 sure enough is on pit road. Nick Kessler joining him, Brandon White, Steven Doziak on pit road as well. Jason Gracias in the number 1 MaxGrafix.co Chevrolet did make it out there onto the racetrack, so that means only Scott Tompkins is unable to see the checkered flag. Gracias just rolling on through his pit box, but a frantic opening 10 laps here at Iowa Speedway. Kind of a long race here tonight, 200 laps around the 7/8 of a mile racetrack. I'll let you guys do the math at home. Rich Sobel saying, all right, guys, it's too early to be racing that tight like this right now. And Drew, Rich is kind of just reiterating the sentiments that you have.
Yeah, I mean, again, I understand, especially with the field as close as we have tonight, in a track that becomes harder to make moves on as you get further into the runs. I understand the temptation to take it 3 wide and to make those moves, but it's not a 3-groove track. Even places like Atlanta, I think is about the smallest track I would really envision 3 wide working. Maybe new-ish Bristol, but like even then, there's going to be contact that's inevitable from that. And you saw down the front stretch, there was room, but you can't have anything go wrong. And yeah, we'll see if that continues. I think that's just more aggressive than I would drive, at least. But these guys are running their own races, and I'm not calling strategy for them because we saw what happened last night. So maybe I'm the one that's wrong, Peter. Who knows?
Yeah, we will have to wait and see. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the current track conditions. A little bit cool here tonight, Drew. Only 79-degree track temperature, 77 degrees ambient. So this racetrack will be quite grippy here under the lights. And, of course, as the time progresses, that track temperature will continue to cool off. In fact, it's a very late race here, Drew. The time in sim is near on 11 p.m., so it is about as late as you can get in the simulator before hitting the midnight hour. But, of course, those are all options that the league administrators have to tinker around with to improve the racing as needed. But Tristan Maher, Doug Neal, your front 2 right now, Chris Darling and Randy Bledsoe, 3rd and 4th. How about that for one of the hashtag Row4Randys, as Randy is now P4 Randy. How about that? Matt Cherry has slid back to 5th. Randy Perdue in 6th. Josh Sobel and Ben Mashburn, your top 8. Vincent Valvano with a good run in the number 64 machine on the scoring pile on 00 on the side of his truck, and Brian Kaufman, with that contact, slid back into 10th. But Drew, this is a racetrack where damage might not be super important, but from my experience, damage does have an effect at this racetrack. It's just big enough where damage can affect the downforce, and downforce can sometimes be important here. It really kind of depends on how the racetrack is driving, with how hot and slick. With it being cool, it might not be that bad. We'll just have to wait and see how Brian Kaufman fares here once we go back to the green flag. But pace car lights are off, Drew. The number 17, Tristan Maher, about to bring us back to green.
Interesting choice, choosing the bottom lane for that number 17 machine, but he'll get a good restart on that bottom lane. A nice early jump there that's a bit of a lane change if I'm not mistaken, Peter. We will see how the officials rule on that, but that 17 definitely started to drift high before the start-finish line, and we've seen numerous times what that can result in. But a really, really good start by Doug Neal, as you mentioned, now to the outside of Chris Darling, battling for second. A solid run for that number 77 machine. Is Peter, that's one thing about Iowa that I always screw up, is how quickly that turn 4 exit wall comes up at you on the outside. It comes up on you so fast. When you lose the front end just a little bit, you can really knock that thing down and have quite a bit of damage to that right side if that happens. One truck, though, I'm kind of watching here, Peter, is that number 54 machine, that green 5th place truck in line. We saw Matt Cherry really start to struggle on that previous green flag run, and these guys haven't changed anything. They did not come down and change tires or add fuel or anything, so it'll be interesting to see if that 54 is able to kind of recover, or if he continues that fall down the field, as Doug Neal falls forward in the field and takes the race lead here coming to lap 17, as that number 17 machine now battling for second position, and I think Chris Darling's going to get it.
Yeah, Darling using that inside groove, and now here comes Randy Bledsoe, one of the row 4 Randys, using the inside line. And I just have to say, Drew, he has Peterbilt on that number 81 machine, so I can't not like it, being a Peter myself. But now Maher going to look back underneath the number 81 machine to try and take that position on back, not able to do so. So good start here in the early showings for Randy Bledsoe. Maher now back to 4th. He was your pole sitter. Now Matt Cherry side by side with the other row 4 Randy Purdue there in the number 25 machine. So maybe the 54 continuing that slide back. There's some good action all over the racetrack, as Ben Mashburn now getting underneath Josh Sobel. And there's Brian Kaufman. He's gained a spot since the restart here. Now back up into 9th. And John Cannizzaro, biggest mover of the race so far. We got Taz Racing Customs in the chat here tonight. Of course, Taz Racing Customs, the sponsor of the biggest mover of the race award. And that Nesquik number 12 is quick, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, and we've seen quite a bit of pace out of Cannizzaro when he's run in the Truck Series and in other series in NSRA as well, as that number 17 is just struggling on that bottom line. And it's interesting to see, Peter, how many people and how many drivers are still running that very bottom line when it seems like that is just not really working out very well as far as being able to roll the center off, just because there's no banking down there. As we saw the 25 run that line through 1 and 2, now suffering the consequences as Josh Sobel gets to his outside in that 57 machine. They're battling for 6th position. I think that 57 is going to take it. Right behind them, Jeff Price, along with Vincent Valvano, racing at the tail end of the top 10 right around. I think battling for 12th position are these trucks. And the number 01 of Brian Kaufman, kind of a half Gravedigger-ish scheme. Peter, how would you describe that 01?
It is like Gravedigger meets Batman Beyond. That is the only way for me to describe that number 01 machine. I remember, I think it was Bill Elliott ran that Batman Beyond scheme back, or was that Batman Forever? That might be Batman Forever that I'm thinking of. I think maybe the chat can help us out, whether it is Batman Forever or Batman Beyond or one of the Batmans. But there is the number 8 machine. Stay tuned Sports in the chat asking who's the number 8 machine. That is Cody Brown right there. A really neat looking RS Eat machine. Almost was able to plug the sponsor there twice, but the number 8 is a very patriotic looking scheme. I really do like the looks of that number 8, and he's running right now in the 15th position, and he's saying it looks a little bit like Andrew Himmelman's scheme. Of course, Andrew used to run the number 8 here in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. In fact, he is the reigning series champion here of this particular series, but with new league rules in effect this season, unable to participate in the truck series this season. But you can see a little bit of a train forming here. Drew starting to get a little bit single file. Cherry in 4th, Sobel in 5th. Travis White back behind him in the 23. We saw a lot of pace out of Travis White last night in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series in the National Sim Racing Association. He's raced his way up to 6th. Tristan Maher, who of course had the pole award brought to you by our friends over at craigsetupshop.co.uk. He has now fallen back to 7th. But Ben Mashburn and John Cannizzaro, who continues his climb, currently in the Taz Racing Customs biggest mover of the race position. Plus 19 spots, Drew. That's very impressive here in the opening 27 laps. I mean, that's almost one position per lap.
Yeah, a heck of a charge forward for that Nesquik machine of John Cannizzaro. I'm used to seeing him in the 17. I almost said 17, but I'm like, no, wait, that's Tristan Maher. The number 12 machine of John Cannizzaro. But the guy who I was kind of wondering about, Peter, that number 54, Matt Cherry, he's definitely starting to struggle once again here on this longer green run. He's kind of the leader of the Truly train, so to speak, as we have another big battle right here. I thought they were going to make another choice for 3 wide going into 1. They do not. It's TJ Buck, Brian Kaufman, that number 8 machine of Cody Brown, and then we have Nathan Maurer in that 971. Man, they're trying to go 3 wide. They're trying to make it work here, as now that number 2 of Justin White brings that truck to the outside of Brian Kaufman. And this is what we talk about, Peter, or what I brought up earlier, is when guys start to race each other, because it's just so hard to clear, and running side by side, you're not taking the optimal line, you are slowing each other down. It pulls those trucks in behind you up towards that battle, and then you get these big battles for position, as now another battle for position, that number 11 machine of Chris Darling passing Doug Neal for the race lead.
Yeah, Chris Darling just got around that number 77, so a pair of double-numbered trucks, the number 11 and the 77 right there. They've got about 1.8 seconds back to Randy Bledsoe, who's slotted himself solidly into 3rd over Matt Cherry, but a lead change right there with the number 11 of Darling getting out front for the first time here tonight, showing some good pace in the Taz Racing Customs Ford F-150. I know we have them in the chat. Custom Diecasts. If you want to check them out, there is a Facebook link in the description to the Taz Racing Customs Facebook page where you can look at some of their past products, and you yourself can pick up a custom diecast, whether it's a iRacing vehicle that you want on a truck or car or something else. They are the place to check out. But Chris Darling out front now, looking at this gaggle of trucks. We got Jeff Price in here, Ben Mashburn. We got the 12 of Cannizzaro, Randy Perdue, and they get really tight. Price pushes up the racetrack, almost gets into the side of Ben Mashburn there, Drew. And, we talked about the progressive banking, variable banking, whatever you want to call it, that's here at the Iowa Speedway. But on the bottom side, there's not as much banking. The truck has a tendency to understeer or push if you're on that lower line. And sometimes, especially coming out of the corners, turn 2, turn 4, you can very easily wash up into the truck that's above you on the racetrack. They might have a little bit more grip than you. You have it coming together, and that can be what causes contact. But at least for right now, we've been green now for a good handful of laps ever since around lap number 10, and hopefully that can continue as we continue to click away laps here at the 7/8 of a mile Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, and I definitely anticipate drivers being on the tight side tonight, given the track temp, 82 degrees. at night as well just tends to make these vehicles, these trucks tighter in iRacing. And then, when you're on that bottom line, especially with that progressive banking, you don't have that banking to lean on. It that front end just wants to wash out wide, and sometimes, you can get into the guy to the outside. Oh, are we going to go 3 wide again? I don't think so, as that's the 13 of Jordan Scheffler, TJ Buck, the 8 truck in that battle as well of Cody Brown. And Peter, it's interesting, though. It seems like the line is slowly migrating towards the bottom as far as guys running by themselves. But as soon as you get racing side by side, that outside groove tends to work really well, except for that 84 machine who's making a liar out of me, who struggled on that high lane through 3 and 4 and is now having to defend his position on the outside once again from an attack by Justin White. That is a battle for 16th and 17th positions between the 84 and the number 2. And Peter, those leaders are putting up a heck of a pace right now. Chris Darling is 8 seconds ahead of these guys. So quite a pace for Chris Darling. Only 24-second laps here. Goes by quick, but that means 8 seconds. That's already a third of a lap that these guys are behind Chris Darling. Too much longer, we're going to start having some battles, not at the rear of the field, but just outside of the top 10 that Chris Darling might have to deal with as these guys continue to race side by side now with Nathan Maurer in that 971 machine, Randy Perdue, and John Cannizzaro battling for that 10th position. And then, Tristan Maher, Peter, now definitely struggling, leading on that last restart.
Yeah, so the number 17 finds himself right now side by side. I think he's found a little bit of pace relative to some of these trucks around him. I think we saw him as far back as 7th, but he's underneath Josh Sobel right here. Randy Bledsoe just lost the 3rd position a couple of laps ago to the number 54 of Matt Cherry. So Cherry starting to disappear from this group in that Green Stay Tuned Sports podcast with Jimbo machine there on the bottom left of your screen. But this is a good 3-way battle. Some really good battles for position here tonight, Drew. This racetrack, at this stage of the run, these drivers on the bottom, they're going to be screaming for grip, and they're going to be getting a little bit frustrated. At least I typically get a little bit frustrated because you feel like you're faster. You just don't have a lot of grip down there on the bottom side of the racetrack. You really have to roll the center of the corner, and there Tristan Maher was able to do that. But here comes Randy Bledsoe looking back to the outside. Now Josh Sobel said, you know what, I just saw Tristan Maher go down to the bottom side and make that pass. Now he's going to try and follow Maher on through, but we'll see whether or not that can happen. Meanwhile, back behind him, they're side-by-side Jeff Price and the number 23 of Travis White. So some battles happening here on kind of in the middle of the top 10 with some good action here, and there's more action further back as well. Iowa showing just how much of a fan favorite it is for the people here on 3 Wide TV as Sobel does complete the pass. Looks like Travis White able to hold on to the spot from Jeff Price as well. But let's go just a little bit further back to this group, which continues to grow here, Drew, led by Randy Perdue just on the around the 10th position. So this is the battle for the top 10 right now. Looks like Jason Grassi is starting to sneak into this picture. The number 13, Jordan Scheffler, sneaking into the picture. But this is a good group of trucks right now.
Yeah, and keep in mind, Peter, that one missed the start. So he started after the field took the green. Already making his way up is that number 1 machine. But, Peter, this was a 3-wide battle for a good lap and a half between that 971 of Maurer, John Cannizzaro, and Randy Perdue. They were 3 wide for a good lap there and kept it pretty clean, no contact, as far as I was able to observe. But John Cannizzaro now trying to take that 10th position away from Randy Perdue. And Peter, you mentioned that 12 was on a march through the field, and we wondered when was that going to stall. It's certainly not a lack of pace from that 12 machine. It just gets so hard to pass when everyone is struggling for grip. And, well, that 12 just can't carry the exit speed that he needs to, as we're riding on board with Jordan Scheffler looking at that battle out front. That yellow machine is the number 12 of John Cannizzaro. That black machine to his outside is the number 25 of Randy Perdue, battling for the top 10. And you just see why drivers can get so frustrated here. I'm kind of surprised, Peter, that we don't see kind of more short track bump and bump and go and moving people out of the way using the proverbial chrome horn, because it just gets so hard to pass that I can't imagine that these guys aren't getting frustrated.
Yeah, and the other thing about running the bottom side of the racetrack here at Iowa is because it's a little bit flatter, you usually overheat your tires a little bit more running down there on that bottom side of the racetrack. So I'm wondering if John Cannizzaro might have burned up his tires just a little bit, because we saw him as high as the 9th position. Now he's sliding back to 12th. Jason Gracia is going to move up into 11th here, and he's now to the inside of Randy Perdue for the 10th spot. So I just am wondering if maybe Cannizzaro kind of went out of the gate a little bit too fast. Well, you mentioned that he picked up 19 spots in the opening 27 laps, and then here in the last 23, he's actually lost 3 or 4 spots. So maybe trying to position himself maybe in a better spot for later in the race. But one thing we haven't seen a lot of this season here, Drew, has been the caution flags. And looks like Chris Darling is on pit road. Brian Kaufman off the pace as well. Did something happen here to Chris Darling, or did he come down pit road on his own accord? That's going to be an interesting question. Let's see if we can see what happened here. Was your race leader over the number 77 machine of Doug Neal, the number 11 coming out of turn number 4, and Brian Kaufman was slow on the racetrack and takes out your race leader. Holy cow, no caution.
Yeah, that's not a fun experience for that number 11 machine. Just, now we'll see exactly what happened to this 01 to kind of cause that whole thing trying to come onto pit road, loses the rear end, and then is trying to get back down. Oh, man, that's... I'm going to try to not be too critical, but that's some poor decision-making by the driver of the 01 to just cut back down like that. When you're the leader, you're expecting somebody like that to just stay where they are, not cut back down the racetrack, because you can't necessarily predict what they're going to do or where they're going to go. You see just a little too aggressive here, trying to come off the banking, which always unsettles the truck. Yeah, that's just too late of a commitment from the 01. Spins back up the track, and then I guess is trying to get back down pit road. That's a rough one, Peter. It's never fun when you're the race leader and all of a sudden something like that happens to you.
Yeah, and for Brian Kaufman's credit, I mean, he was doing all he could to try and save the truck. I mean, you go on board here, and this has happened to me before. You get so focused with trying to save the car, you're looking out front. I mean, he might not have been looking in the mirror, and by the time he got the ship righted and pointed in the right direction, his ability to look up in the rearview mirror and go, oh, what's happening back there? Because he really didn't have a lot of time to figure out the rearview mirror. Obviously, we don't have the rearview mirror rendered here, so you can actually, you can't see out back, unfortunately, but, we'll just kind of slow this down and assume this is the rear view mirror. Right there, he's kind of pointing in the right direction to see what the 11's doing, and Chris Darling arrives on the scene right into the side of him. So it's one of those things where, obviously, if you're Chris Darling, you are going to be not happy there. You're going to be wondering why iRacing did not throw the yellow flag. Or one. I mean, obviously that should have been a yellow. Had a yellow flag came out, maybe Darling would have been able to put on the brakes and been a little bit more aware of the situation. I don't know if the iRacing spotter would have even called to Chris Darling to say, there's a car slow in front of you. I've been in the situation. I've been on both sides of that conundrum. I'm sure the 01's, upset. He took out the leader by making that mistake. I'm sure Chris Darling is absolutely livid as well. He was the race leader and had a good lead at that point. So, as Stay Tuned Sports in the chat says, that's rough. That is very rough here. But the green flag stays out somehow, some way. I think the iRacing flagman was asleep or something. We'll have to get someone up to the flag stand to see if the flagman needs some medical attention or something. But out front, it is Doug Neal now by 1.5 seconds over Tristan Maher, who now finds himself back up into second. Josh Sobel has solidly gotten to the third spot. Matt Cherry's fallen back a little bit here, Drew. So in all that madness, Maher is kind of shooting up the table again. Cherry back to fourth. Bledsoe now finding himself in fifth. One of the hashtag Bro4 Randys there with Travis White and Jeff Price side by side back behind them.
Yeah, and kind of a race-changing series of events there as far as competitors are concerned. This number one truck is certainly a guy I'm keeping my eye on. He was able to clear that big battle for 10th position and work his way up. Now, Jason Grossi is trying to grab that 7th position away from Jeff Price and continue his march forward. A really, really impressive run for this number one machine, that kind of grayscale camouflage with purple logos and numbers. Silverado, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Yeah, Silverado. And just a really, really solid run thus far from this one machine. Started in 26th, Peter. Now up to 8th position, trying to grab 7th, trying to grab 6th. Though a little bit of contact between Jeff Price and Travis White right there through 1 and 2.
Yeah, and this is a big gaggle of trucks, and it seems like it is just getting bigger. The 07 of William Kerwin is in the mix as well, as Travis White almost catches the wall in the number 23 there, the yellow and black Chevrolet. But this group is led by the 5th place, number 81 of Randy Bledsoe. Travis White and Jeff Price right there, 7th and 8th, as it looks like Grossi does indeed have a run. Can he get to the inside of Bledsoe? Sure enough, looks like he can here. He's definitely had a lot of pace. If you can figure out even where that number one truck is, it is just a floating MaxGrafix purple logo. I think it's camouflage. You can't see it. Isn't that right? He's going to go to the inside, make that pass, move up now into the top 5 plus 21 spots, and in doing so becomes the Taz Racing Customs biggest mover of the race up till right now, as the yellow flag is out. Yellow flag is waving, so finally someone in the flag stand has figured out what is going on, and we're hearing, maybe I was completely blind because it happened right behind the car we were just looking at. Jeff Price gets loose, Ben Mashburn gets loose, a little bit of contact with Bushbosher, and the Chester's Chicken machine trying to get the winner chicken dinner here tonight. Goes around for a half spin, but kind of like the first caution flag here tonight, Drew. Could have been a lot worse on that number 4 truck as he gets back going in the right direction.
Yeah, interesting that brought out the caution, but the previous incident that we saw did not, as now we're riding on board with Jason Gracias here. There we go. The 14, I think the 14 gets sideways, and then the 4 machine checks up and then maybe gets a tap from behind, and then just gets sideways and is just trying to wrangle that thing under control in a responsible manner. So no major problems here, but our first pit stops of the night here on lap 67. And Peter, how long do you think these guys could have gone? That's one of my questions I've been meaning to get to, is what's the fuel window for these guys here tonight? Because we've seen quite a lot of green flag running. It wouldn't surprise me to see green flag pit stops if we get that far.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that we got all that green flag running in there. Granted, maybe there should have been a caution flag. I think there should have been a caution flag. We got one truck smoking after that contact during that green flag run, but definitely a lot of good side-by-side racing here tonight, and that is always great to see here on 3 Wide TV. We can confirm there has been a change of the lead, with Tristan Maher winning the race off pit road over Doug Neal. Matt Cherry up into the 3rd spot off pit road. Josh Sobel, Jason Gracias, your top 5. Just looking to see here, Garrett, who is your Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. It is going to be the 07 machine right there of William Kerwin, although I'm not exactly sure that the 07 is under power or not here, as he limps to his pit. Well, I don't know. I thought he was headed to his pit box, but Maybe not, as he's going to get back out there on the racetrack, and honestly, I'm not convinced that he is the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award after looking at the scoring pylons, so maybe we can figure out who that was, but big shout out to our friends over at Brookstone Animal Hospital as Kerwin kills the blue cone, coming back up there onto the racetrack.
Yeah, those poor cones, always getting bullied on a weekly basis, if not daily basis, here in iRacing. But yeah, interesting series of events coming off of pit road as far as the lead is concerned, with Tristan Maher getting that lead from Doug Neal, who had led quite a few laps here, Peter, before and after that incident with the 11 machine. And yeah, it's I like what the 17 was able to do that last run. We saw him really start to struggle after that restart, but then somehow was able to kind of bring that truck back to where he needed it to be, to adapt to it, to figure out, okay, I need to cool my right front down or my right rear down or whatever was going on with that 17 machine, in a really solid recovery all the way up to second position. Now grabbing that lead here on yellow flag pit stops, and now putting himself in a really good position. Hopefully he can apply what he learned in that last green run to this next one. And if that's the case, I think the 17 is certainly going to be a guy to watch for the rest of the race, because we've seen raw pace out of the 17. Now can he prevent those kind of longer run dramas that he had? But now looking at the points. So again, a little bit of a complicated point system here, folks. Basically, if you win, chances are you're in. As far as the top 8 positions in points are concerned, those are drivers that win races. If if 8 drivers win, those bottom 2 positions, the 9th and 10th position, will be wild cards, the top guys in points that didn't win races. Right now, Jordan Sepler, Jason Gracias locked in. Jeff Price, the actual points leader that hasn't won a race, they're in 3rd position. And then you can see the distribution of points there on down, as now we are coming out of turn 4, and green flag. Tristan Maher leads them to the green here on lap 70.
Yeah, Maher, once again, a good restart for him. Doug Neal side by side with Matt Cherry. Maybe these drivers finding just a little bit about what they did wrong under the first run. Maybe they can adapt the way they're going to attack the racetrack for this set of tires, as Neal slots into second, Cherry into third. Sobel side by side with Randy Bledsoe here for fourth, Drew.
Yeah, great restart for Josh Sobel in that outside groove, once again demonstrating the power behind it. But the 81 got really loose through 1 and 2 right there. I thought that he was going to loop that thing around, but able to save it. But look how much momentum he lost going through the backstretch there, as Jason Gracias and the one machine is, another big wiggle out of that 81 back there, as now Jason Gracias cuts to his inside, John Cannizzaro behind those 2 drivers. And Peter, once those rears get hot like that, it really takes a bit of time to get that thing back under control, because they just want to keep sliding because they're hot, because they just slid, and it becomes like a vicious cycle. Is now, what are we looking at on this restart?
We're looking at the lane change. Mr. Chris Darling is in the chat after being involved in that accident, thinking that was a lane change on the number 17. That's a tough one to call there, Drew, because as you can see, he's still got a lane out there. Let's go back. Ooh, that you called it out earlier in the race that maybe Maher was changing lanes, and he's definitely heading up the racetrack there before the start-finish line. We might see the number 17 get a black flag here for a lane change penalty. We'll see whether or not that is going to happen here in just a little bit, but definitely looking like Maher might have changed lanes before the start-finish line. Of course, changing lanes has been a hot topic here in the National Sim Racing Association. A lot of drivers have been on edge about it because a couple of drivers have lost wins or the opportunity to win because of that. Mike Aiello back at Daytona. We saw Jason Gracias do it back at the Nashville Fairgrounds with Mike Floppy Tellier doing it as well. And it's something we up here in the booth have to keep our eyes on, Drew. We mentioned it last night in the stream. Of course, you led pretty much every restart last night, that you appeared to be extremely mindful of the lane change rule, staying as low as you could down there on the racetrack in the quad oval at Texas Motor Speedway. But, it appears to maybe have caught out Tristan Maher here. We'll see whether or not a black flag penalty is shown to the number 17 or whether that is going to be a post-race investigation. Only time will tell, because it's those types of things should be interesting. But in the chat, we got ideas for 3-wide TV drinking games. And let's hear it. I think right now we got one idea, which is every time Chris Darling goes for a spin, I think we might all get flat out wasted over that one. But if you guys have any other drinking games in the chat, we'll be curious to know if you have anything else to add. Just have some fun in the chat here tonight on 3-Wide TV. But we do have some good racing out here on the racetrack. We're focusing still on the number 1 of Jason Gracias, who's trying to work his way into the top 5 for the first time here tonight, as the 81 Randy Bledsoe hits those bumps up on the top side between turn number 1 and 2. But right now, John Cannizzaro has cracked into the top 5 for the first time here tonight in the Nesquik 12.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of pace out of this number 12 machine, now going underneath Josh Sobel. A really good job getting around that number 1 of Jason Gracias, but I don't think that one necessarily is focused on the short term. We saw him on long run pace really display his speed. As now that I say that, he shoots that number 1 to the inside of Josh Sobel through 3 and 4. But once again, Peter, Matt Cherry doing a really good job managing track position, but I certainly think that 54 is probably one of the slower drivers in the top 5, as now John Cannizzaro and Jason Gracias applying quite a bit of pressure.
Yeah, some really good racing here. There's Randy Perttu in the number 25, running behind Randy Bledsoe and Jeff Price. Ironically, Randy now together on the racetrack in 8th and 9th, so almost exactly where they started in row 4 Randy here tonight, or Randy row 4. I don't know. You could slice that any way you want to. But the number 25 and the number 81 running there just behind the number 14. Up front, Tristan Maher has not been able to pull away from the 77 of Doug Neal, just about a quarter of a second separating those two. But they have, sure enough, pulled away from Matt Cherry to about a second and a half gap between second and third. So you're not really missing anything there. And some good racing here side by side between Travis White and now Randy Bledsoe in the number 81. Bledsoe slides up the racetrack a little bit, then back behind them. A new look on the number 28 machine here, Drew. Typically the U.S. Army Esports Racing machine, but now the number 28 machine, there he is with Afraid Not Threads on that number 28. A new look and having a good run here tonight, currently just outside the top 10 in 11th.
Yeah, you don't see a lot of copper-colored trucks out there. Certainly, a cool scheme, and certainly one that is very different from anything else out there on track here tonight. As continuing that battle is that number 23 and 81 machine. They have been racing side by side for several laps now. And this is what I'm talking about, Peter. If you're the guy initiating the pass, you think you're quicker. I just don't understand how these guys aren't getting a little more frustrated and kind of getting their elbows out a little bit more, as one of my favorite commentators says, a little argy-bargy potentially happening between these drivers. I think the 23 rotated really well through 1 and 2. 81 not quite as well, and there you go. 23 Travis White cleared that 81 machine of Randy Bledsoe now with Adam Dahmen at his inside. And that's another thing, Peter, is in a track like Iowa, if you screw up just a little bit, you're going to have several drivers pouncing on you because of the nature of this track and how close drivers just tend to stay throughout a run.
Yeah, that is for sure. And speaking of close throughout the run, number 1 of Jason Gracias and John Cannizzaro, they've been close now for probably the last half hour out there on the racetrack, but looks like Gracias has gotten to the inside of the Nesquik number 12, and that would put Jason Gracias up into the 4th position. So last week's winner from the Atlanta Motor Speedway is climbing up the running order. As you said it, Drew, he's falling forward through the running order, and you don't want to fall forward down steps, but falling forward through the field is usually a good thing, and Gracias now finds himself in 4th, right behind the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast number 54 of Matt Cherry. Just looking to see, this I think is the first side-by-side battle. Sure enough, it is, but as I say that, nope, they go back to single file up ahead, and now they're single file as Adam Dama stays in front of the number 13 of Jordan Schepler here. They get tight, but Dama cracking the top 10 here tonight.
Yeah, really solid run for that number 28 machine. One of the better showings that I can remember from Adam Dama. As I say that, the 23 gets turned into the outside wall. Caution, caution, caution. And the 23 to Travis White, I don't think is going to be particularly happy with that. That is no doubt the 28 of Adam Dama's responsibility, and some hard contact to the outside wall. Here we'll see in that replay, just coming out of turn 4 down the front stretch, a good run for that 28 machine, and then just takes it low and just misses, I think, his turn in maybe a little too much entry speed. He's just going to drift up a little bit. Yeah, that's a little higher than that bottom lane should be running. Tags the 23 in the left rear quarter panel, and with a track like Iowa that has fairly tight radius corners, there's nothing you can do. You're going to get hard into that outside wall with the rear, and oh man, I thought another truck was about to come smash into him. I don't know if that happened or not. I don't think so. But to me, Peter, that is a classic short track incident that we see time and again at places like Iowa.
Yeah, you know what Denny Hamlin has to say about that? That short track racing. Just like that. Here's a replay from the blimp cam just to see that contact. I mean, maybe to Dama's credit, maybe Travis White wasn't giving him a whole lot of bottom side of the racetrack there, but kind of coming together for sure, and unfortunately coming together with the turn 2 wall right there with that number 23 machine going around, some heavy back end damage on that car. But we got drivers on pit road, and looks like the number 17 of Tristan Maher will win the race off pit road. Doug Neal behind him. Jason Gracias 3rd off pit road, then Josh Sobel, then Matt Cherry. So kind of a disastrous stop there for Matt Cherry. Actually, I take that back. Here under this caution, Drew, maybe some split strategies, because I'm not seeing a whole lot of drivers maybe take tires, but Matt Cherry definitely did take tires on the number 54 machine.
Yeah, so only 3 changes of tires available for these guys, so they would still have 2 sets if they didn't change their tires on this round of caution. I'm kind of surprised. I mean, I shouldn't be talking about tire strategy given what happened last night, but, you know, around halfway, I wouldn't be against necessarily taking your second set and still having a set left here, but I think that 2 gives you a little more strategy. Peter, do you think that anybody took tires based on their pit stop times or anything like that? Is there one driver that's going to be at a huge advantage, or is pretty much everybody on that no tire call?
I don't know. So we're going to go back here and catch what all went down on pit road, starting with Tristan Maher. I think the interesting question is going to be what did Maher do? What did Doug Neal do? What did Matt Cherry do? Cherry had about a 7-second longer pit stop than Tristan Maher. So if anyone took tires, it would be the 54 of Matt Cherry. So we will see here exactly what these leaders decided to do. So there's the 17 coming into his pit box. Now watch the 54 right behind him. 17 here, Drew. Don't see any jacks going up. No tires on the number 17. It was just fuel only. Meanwhile, Matt Cherry, we just saw the right sides go up. Now the left sides are going up on the 54. So definite tires on the 54 machine. Some other drivers back behind him. Looks like Randy Bledsoe might have taken some tires. Jeff Price obviously took tires at the number 14. He fell back. So definitely mixed strategies amongst your drivers out there. And then you have Ben Mashburn in the number 4. Remember, he had some contact earlier in the Chester's Chicken machine. He's now your race leader. He did not come down pit road at all, period. So he's going to be starting this restart up front, as it looks like the 07 of William Kerwin will get back on the lead lap by means of the wave around here. Just checking to see if we had a Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. I think it might have been Evan Bushbosher under this caution flag in the number 52 machine. So we will flash up the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award graphic there at the bottom of the screen. Big shout out to them, located in the greater Atlanta, Georgia area. If you have a pet, make sure to check them out. They are a big sponsor here in the National Sim Racing Association. We thoroughly appreciate them sponsoring the Lucky Dog Award here this season. So congratulations to Bushbosher, who gets another leash on life. Ha ha ha. Leash on life. Get it? Ha ha. Dogs, pets. Yeah. Anyway, green flag about to come back out here in just a little bit. Pace car lights are off, Drew.
Yeah, here they come on the one to go. I definitely thought. I definitely didn't think they were coming out of turn 4, Peter. That definitely did not just happen. But, yeah, interesting tire strategies. I think that Cannizzaro also took tires. He's one of those kind of faster trucks that might be on 4 fresh ones. Did the 54 take 4? I didn't necessarily see that left get jacked up. This would be an interesting time in the race to maybe take 2, although you're burning that set of rights regardless, so it doesn't necessarily help you in a tire-limited race like this. But here we go. The number 4 machine of Ben Mashburn leads these trucks to the green flag. A great restart for that outside line. Not so great for that 17. And we'll see what the 54 Matt Cherry can do as he cruises through 1 and 2, gets that 3rd position, and I think he is going to be quickly coming to take that race lead here, Peter.
Yeah, Gracias, who started from the pit lane here tonight at the Iowa Speedway. Now side by side, here comes Matt Cherry with a huge run on the outside in the Stay Tuned Sports F-150. He's going to get second from Gracias here, so Cherry trying to pounce on this restart. And remember, Drew, he came down pit road, he got fresh tires, so he has one less set of tires on pit road. So that number 54 machine, he's going to go around the outside for the race lead on those fresher tires. Obviously, tires matter here with the power move that he just did. So Cherry leads for the first time here tonight. Fastest lap of the entire race just laid down by Matt Cherry at 23.56. So new fast lap of the race. Gracias going to the inside of Ben Mashburn. Cannizzaro holding on to 4th right now. He also took on tires in the Nesquik number 12 machine. So different strategies. We saw that a lot last night in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series here on 3 Wide TV in what was a fairly interesting race at Texas Motor Speedway. Drew, you might have other adjectives for last night's race, but hey, it is what it is. But look at this, 3 wide going into turn number 3, and Schepler almost getting taken out. That was really tight.
Yeah, a ton of side-by-side racing. It feels like 7th through 14th is basically right in front of us here, Peter, as... Oh, I saw a driver check up. I think that was Doug Neal. This restart not gone well for that number 77 machine. Starting to struggle a little bit. Was really slow through 1 and 2. Now the 14 going to his inside. And I wonder how many of these drivers have fresh tires, how many don't, because the 77, the 17, the 4, all being eaten up by these trucks basically from 6th position on back.
Yeah, let's see if we can bring up the graphic here for everyone in the chat. So this will bring up the pit lane time for the last time. That's the wrong one. I want pit stop time. There we go. That's the right one. Cherry and Cannizzaro up at the front. There's the number 12 machine sitting in 2nd. They had 14.8 second stops. That means that those drivers elect to take 4 tires. It takes about 14 and a half seconds to get tires on the trucks. Then you have Jason Gracias. He only had a 6.9 second stop last time he was on pit road. Obviously did not take tires with only 6.9 seconds. Mashburn, we know he elected to stay out. He led that green flag. But then you have Jeff Price, 14.7. He now finds himself in 4th as he's going to get around the number 4 machine. And then you have Adam Dama, who in the number 28 machine is going to get underneath the number 4 of Mashburn here. He's on fresher tires. And then you got, I think, that's Randy Bledsoe in the number 81. I don't know if he took 4 tires or 2 tires. A 10.7 stop could be no tires. It could be 2 tires, either one of those. But he's now sliding back just a little bit as the 971 and Nathan Maurer underneath him on 4 fresh tires. So some split strategy, and obviously the tire strategy, the drivers who elected to use that set of tires. Remember, limited sets here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. The ones that decided to use it, they're definitely coming towards the front, as there's definitely a disparity on pace with the fresh tires versus the old tires.
Yeah, absolutely, Peter. There certainly is a disparity, and I think this is the really tricky thing about these tire limited sets. We saw what happened last night. I'm not going to talk too much about it because nobody cares about my problems. But yeah, it's certainly changing the nature of this race. The 17, the 77 strong up until this point, but now it's Matt Cherry and John Cannizzaro out front, and they have quite a bit of a battle right here for the race lead. And we saw this essentially last run, but only for third position, as Matt Cherry, I don't know how much speed that 54 has, Peter, but he certainly is really, really good at hitting his marks consistently and being difficult to pass. Maybe we should change Matt Cherry's nickname to Ryan Newman or something, because he's doing a great job tonight at probably frustrating the guys that he's racing with, because he's just not making mistakes that allows guys that think that they're quicker than him to take advantage of that.
I'll have to check whether or not Matt Cherry has a neck next time I bring up the graphic, so we can call him No Neck Newman, like No Neck Cherry. But anyway, I digress. Matt Cherry is your race leader. John Cannizzaro in the Nesquik machine. We've seen how quick he has been, especially on the short run, as we got a quick flash there of William Kerwin heading down pit road. Adam Dama also heading down pit road. Not sure why Dama has elected to come down pit road. There he is, coming to his pit crew. So not sure if he's calling it quits here, Drew, or maybe they didn't get any fuel in the truck. I don't really know, but Dama is going to fall one lap down as the battle for the race lead flashes on by the start-finish line right there. They have about a 1.7 second gap back to Jeff Price, who is on 4 fresh tires. Nathan Maurer on 4 fresh tires a little bit further back in 4th. Then you have Randy Bledsoe, Randy Perdue. The row 4 Randys again together. There's something about the name Randy. It's sticky. They're stuck together tonight. As this time, Randy Perdue will get past Randy Bledsoe, but they will be the 2 Randys again. Make that kind of the row 3 Randys with the way they're running right now. Jason Gracias is the first driver who did not take tires under that last stop. He's running right there in 7th, a second up the road from Tristan Maher. And then look at this gackle here, Drew. Bunch of drivers, different strategies back here. We got Stan Hausman in the BeerStreetJournal.com number 39 machine in this mix. Josh Sobel in the 57 in this picture as well. The 24, Brandon White. This is kind of a hornet's nest right now.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that, Peter. It is a lot of trucks and not a lot of real estate, as those trucks that didn't take tires, like Doug Neal and Tristan Maher, just kind of continue their backward slide. And when you're not used to being particularly slow, and then all of a sudden, relative to the trucks around you, you're particularly slow, man, can it be disheartening, as we've just seen such a good job for those 2 trucks in particular in maintaining good track position all night, and then all of a sudden, everybody's driving away from you. You're getting eaten alive from the trucks by the trucks behind you, and there's just kind of not a lot that you can do. It's a pretty helpless feeling when that type of stuff happens. But Doug Neal doing a pretty good job now of kind of damage control, maintaining that now 10th position, still inside the top 10. And Peter, as long as he doesn't lose a lap and we get another caution, all of a sudden the 77 is at a tire advantage relative to those trucks around them, because I highly doubt that trucks would take their last set of tires before lap 150 or before their perceived last pit stop. So as long as we get another caution and this thing kind of resets itself, yeah, you're falling back, but you might be able to make that back up, quite frankly, when the race counts more there at the end.
Yeah, that is for sure. This group now going fairly single file, but they are catching up to the back of the number 17 of Tristan Maher, with some of these drivers on fresher tires, some of them not. There's Josh Sobel now running behind the number 8 of Cody Brown. Let's go a little bit further back. Let's highlight some of the drivers that we haven't been able to focus here in the first half of the race. There's number 55, Steven Doziak, having a pretty quiet night in the Total Nonstop Racing Toyota Tundra, running right now in 19th, right in front of Joshua Kerner in the number 9 Realtree Chevrolet, the Team Realtree machine right there, running in front of last week's pole sitter at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Nick Kessler hasn't been the night Nick was exactly looking for so far. Garrett Gleason back there in the 7 in 22nd position. He did not take tires. There is Vincent Valvano, and Ben Mashburn finds himself way back here as well. I'm not exactly sure what happened to put Ben Mashburn that far back, but he's been sliding backwards through the field. Remember, he was starting first on that last restart that we had not all too long ago. So he's down in 24th right now in front of Adam Dama in the number 28, who is currently being scored one lap behind your race leader, Matt Cherry, who still holds on to a little bit of a lead on the 12 machine. But Drew, look who's creeping into the picture there in the number 14, just a couple of truck lengths behind the 12 of Canizaro.
Yeah, so I think I've real quick, Peter, deduced what happened to the 4, came down pit road, had a pit stop, did Ben Mashburn, so he is on the freshest of the tires of anybody, just a lap down. We'll see if he can do some damage control and try to unlap himself. But yeah, talking about this battle further towards the front between the 12, the 54, and the 14, as now Doug Neal comes on pit road. And Peter, I wonder, I can't imagine, do you think this is for fuel, or do you think this is just a strategy call regarding tires?
I don't know. I was trying to see the last lap, but last time Doug Neal was on pit road for fuel, and I'm not sure. I mean, Neal, we'll see how it all works out for that number 77 machine. Maybe he thinks we can make it to the end of the race from here, so we're in the pit window, and maybe he thinks these other drivers are unable to make it, so he's going to try and use a little bit of an undercut. We'll see exactly how that works for driver of the number 77, as he is going to head up onto the racetrack right there in front of your leaders. But Price is starting to close in the back channel production Chevrolet, the number 14 right there. Randy Perdue and Randy Bledsoe still running 5th and 6th, but Jason Gracias has caught the back of Randy Bledsoe. So Gracias in the MaxGrafix Chevy Silverado, the camo number 1, creeping his way back into the picture. Remember, he's still got an extra set of tires on pit road, so I'm wondering here, Drew, whether we're kind of at that stage of the run where maybe the tires are starting to plateau, where Gracias is now able to kind of come back to try and pass some of these drivers, as we're hearing that maybe the 77 has had a little bit of an incident. Let's see what happened here to the Simbox Chevy Silverado of Doug Neal, Drew, trying to get all he can get after just coming down pit road.
Yeah, I think he clipped the apron right at the apex and just slowly was trying to save it, and just the rear kept rotating. And then this undoes that hard work that you've done as far as tires are concerned, and maximizing that. Now, he didn't lose too much. So he is now solidly with Tristan Maher, who basically pitted around the same time as him. No, he didn't. I'm completely out of my mind. The 17 is not pitted yet, but the battle for the race lead is heating up. That I am certain of. John Canizaro still cannot get by Matt Cherry. Call him Matt Ryan Newman Cherry, as John Canizaro. Now Jeff Price joining that battle. So now a 3-truck battle for that race lead. And Peter, we certainly have seen flashes of pace from that 14 machine. And tonight's one of those nights where when Jeff Price is on, he's as quick as anybody, and he is really, really pressuring John Canizaro to figure out a way around Matt Cherry.
Yeah, Canizaro and Cherry were side by side there for just a brief moment while we were watching the 3-wide TV replay of Doug Neal having his moment off of turn number 4, but Cherry able to hold on to the lead, but that did allow Price to get right up to his back bumper. Now, We've mentioned a couple times here tonight, Drew, that this can be a difficult racetrack to pass on. And now with Price in the picture, he's going to have to really try to find a run on Cannizzaro. I almost thought he had gotten to the right rear quarter panel of the number 12 there, but I think he had to back out of it. Meanwhile, Jason Gracias just made the pass on Randy Bledsoe, so he's been able to find an extra spot. He's now up to 6th, and now Bledsoe under threat from the 2 of Justin White. So some really good battles happening right now inside the top 10 of the racetrack. Meanwhile, a little bit further back, we got another 3-truck train right here. Travis White, Joshua Sobel, and I think I just saw a change of position. Yes, change of position. Jeff Price finally got to the outside of John Cannizzaro, got around him. New second place truck, the 14 of Price.
Yeah, and Peter, that orange truck right there, creeping into the picture, Nathan Maurer, about to make this a 4-truck battle for this race lead, potentially. And I'm just wondering how this undercut is going to play out. We see it all the time in more road racing focused disciplines of motorsports, sports cars, and open wheel, especially in Formula One. It's a big thing. You just kind of don't see it that much in NASCAR and in oval stuff because you typically lose a lap. You see it at Pocono, you see it at the road courses. Sometimes you see it at the super speedways. Not like tires really matter there, but you just typically don't get the opportunity to see it play out here on these kind of smaller tracks like Iowa because people just aren't willing to risk losing that lap. If a caution comes out or what have you. But I think Doug Neal about to unlap himself as he is now getting up there trying to make that strategy work as now the 81 truck and the number 24 of Brandon White and the 81 of Brandon White and Randy Blood. So there we go. I hope I didn't confuse their first names the first time. But these guys are battling right here for about 8th position. And a pretty close cluster of trucks. And then now back up to the race lead. The 77 unlapped himself. And Matt Cherry just holding on. Doing a really good job of maintaining that race lead as now the 14 got real loose out of 4th. Peter, I got to say, I think that's the first time I've really seen a driver get loose without racing another truck that's kind of pinching them and compromising their line.
Yeah, I think Jeff Price is doing all he can here to try and get to the race lead. I'm kind of curious to know when he will elect to come down pit road for presumably what might be the final time here tonight, almost catching the wall off of turn number 4 as well. He's really hustling that truck right now, Drew. He really wants to get to the race lead, get some clean air on the nose of that truck. And if he's able to do so, it'd be the first time here tonight that he has been able to get to the front. He's so far not led a lap here tonight at the Iowa Speedway. In fact, I'm not exactly sure whether or not Jeff Price has led a lap so far this season. Usually he's a driver that excels on the 1.5-mile racetracks, but with finishes of 5th at Atlanta and 5th at Daytona, Jeff Price here looking for his 3rd consecutive top 5 to begin the 2021 B season in the National Sim Racing Association Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. So he's off to a good start, trying to back that up here tonight in the Back Channel Productions Chevrolet, trying to get to that lead. We know he's fast, and look at that 971. You mentioned it, Drew, that 971 is starting to creep into the picture more and more as here comes Price, looking to the inside now, off into turn 3, almost contact between those two.
Yeah, but I think that's the line you have to take on the bottom to make this pass work. I don't think you can let the truck on the outside just have that banking advantage. Now we're seeing the 14 try to potentially, a big wiggle. That's going to really compromise the 14. He's absolutely going to be at least battling for second, if not losing second here, although he does have the outside through 3 and 4. And Peter, these trucks are, on the absolute edges. Matt Cherry into the wall. Now the 14 gets loose just trying to avoid him as, all of a sudden, it's like a light switch has flicked for these trucks as far as rear grip's concerned. Really struggling out there are these trucks I thought they were going to get into each other at a turn 2 side by side for the race lead.
And we're also hearing something's happened to Adam Dama as they make contact. The 54 starts to go around. Is he going to save it? He saves it. Wow, the 54, they made a little bit of contact. And Cherry's going to slide back to the around the 5th position or so. Let's see if we can see what happened right here. Put it into the 3-wide TV slow-mo. Keep your eyes on the Stay Tuned Sports Ford F-150. Drew, they made just a little bit of contact right about there. And we'll get a really good look of the Sunoco sign. But look at the wheel on the number 54 machine. Cherry doing all he can to save it completely sideways. Cannizzaro not making contact. Nathan Maurer has to get out of it. And in all of this madness, we're also now hearing that something has happened to Adam Dama in the number 28 machine. So he spun it off of turn number 4, and he actually had to take a tow back to pit road. Did not bring out the caution, so not the first time we've seen problems out of turn number 4 here tonight, but that's when the 54 and the 14, this is still on a replay, they had that big wiggle. Let's go back live as Matt Cherry has elected to come down pit road in his F-150, so that might bring more trucks down with him. Jason Gracias in his MaxGrafix Chevy Silverado. Look at Tristan Maher with a huge wiggle, getting all he can get onto pit road. Josh Sobel coming down now. I think the pit lane thoroughly open, just waiting to see Jeff Price and John Cannizzaro come down to make their pit stop now.
Yeah, and in every lap that these guys stay out, they have to be gambling, as now John Cannizzaro makes that hard left turn onto pit lane, that there's going to be a caution in the meantime, because all you're doing at this point, if you're Jeff Price, if you're any of those other trucks, is you're just losing time. You're losing time and you're losing track position, and as we've seen, it's really hard to get that track position back. Is the 971 just kind of blinked out there, if I'm not mistaken? Nope, there he is. He's back. And so interesting strategies by the 14 to stay out once again. And now I'm just trying to take a look at where Doug Neal is going to filter out, the 4 machine of Ben Mashburn, where he's going to come out on this, because those are the guys that pitted way back. And we're trying to kind of undercut all of these drivers now. As far as that's concerned, I am not seeing the 77. There's Doug Neal. There's Doug Neal as Josh Sobel comes down onto pit lane.
Again,
and
Drew,
we are closing in on closing out these pit stops.
I don't know what happened to Josh Sobel, whether it was a speeding penalty or not, but this is his second time down pit road, so things not going well for driver of the number 57. We'll see whether or not he gets a drive-through penalty here. He's in his pit box, and that looks like to me a penalty on him, but we have a caution flag out there on the racetrack that might be to the benefit of Josh Sobel. We're hearing that Adam Dama in the number 28, did he go around fresh tires on the 28 machine, Drew? He had just come off pit road, and he spins it around. No, he does not, but I think the caution flag was already waving when, because I saw the red light at the end of pit road. Something I believe had already happened to bring out the yellow. We're just going to have to sort out what it was, because nothing is extremely obvious to me. Nothing is jumping out in the live timing and scoring. Now I think we finally figured out what brought out the yellow. Let's see if we can highlight this. And Drew, the number 24 machine, Brandon White, he gets into turn number 1 here. 3 wide, Garrett Gleason on the high side, Tristan Maher there in the middle. The 24 gets a little bit loose on entry, gets even more loose, and that 24 just kind of goes around for a lazy half spin, and that brings out the yellow. It's been really hit or miss tonight what has brought out the yellow. But in this particular instance, that does the trick. And with everything going on, Nathan Maurer is your race leader. And I'm just looking up and down the scoring pile. We don't have many trucks on the lead lap right now, Drew. I think right now we're at 10 trucks. Maurer is your race leader. Meanwhile, we got a group of drivers kind of on pit road Jeff Price, Travis White, Randy Perdue, Justin White on pit road, Jordan Scheffler on pit road, Philip Scott, Sam Hausman, Garrett Gleason. A lot of trucks going to have to take the wave around. It's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out, but big advantage here, I think, to Jeff Price.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, because not only does he have fresh tires on that truck, and everyone else is now going to have to take that wave around, but because they're taking that wave around, obviously, or maybe not obviously, if you're not aware, they cannot make a pit stop. So he's going to have track position and a tire advantage over basically everyone else in the field. Did Nathan Maurer beat him off of pit road, Peter, or has the 971 not pitted? I'm just trying to figure out. The 971's in the race lead. Jeff Price is in second. Did Nathan Maurer not come down? And if so, I'm confused as to why he didn't.
The only thing I can think of is maybe he's used an extra set of tires here tonight, and I think that's your answer right there, Drew. 2 14-plus second pit stops for Nathan Maurer. I think he did not want to use his final set of tires yet. I think he's only got one set of tires left on pit road, so he stayed out under this caution flag. He last pitted on lap number 92 here tonight. So that is going to be kind of telling on this restart. I think he's going to drop back very quickly on 50-plus lap old tires at this stage of the race. But he elected to save that extra set, so later on in the race, he's going to have it. I guess my thoughts there is that, if he falls back a couple of spots here upcoming, maybe he will end off better. But, of course, if we go green flag to the end of the race from here, which we've seen some pretty decent green flag runs here tonight, Nathan Maurer could be up the creek in that 971 machine. But different strategies, of course, in play here in the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Always fun to see that. Makes things exciting for the fans at home. Keeps us on our toes up here in the booth in the 3-wide TV truck. That is for sure. Rich Sobel in the chat saying, what the heck? Taz Racing Customs saying cautions are broken. Stay Tuned Sports asking why no caution. Not sure when that was, but we finally did get a caution flag here. Awesome save by the 54. Indeed it was, Johnny. It's been a pretty wild night at Iowa, and Drew, that's kind of why this is a fan favorite, a driver favorite. It can be frustrating at times, but it can also put on some really, really good racing.
It absolutely does. And, we were talking about drinking games earlier. I think the race officials here, not the real one, not the in-race official, but iRacing has been playing a drinking game tonight as far as throwing cautions, because a truck getting sideways, caution. A legitimate crash between the race leader and a car stopped on the racetrack, no caution. All right, okay, I guess iRacing, that's how you want to play it. And that's the nature of the beast when it comes to algorithms determining cautions. As now Nathan Maurer on those old tires. As somebody who stayed out on old tires, take the tires. Just take them. Take the tires. Just take the tires. That is my word of advice for the week. Take the tires. So Nathan Maurer not taking tires, but is taking the field to the restart here on now lap 154, as the 14 did not change lanes, waits till after the start-finish line, cuts that number 14 machine down or up the track and back down to get a clean apex, and we'll see how well this 971 can weather the storm as these fresh tires come flying up from behind.
And another thing about that 971 staying out, Drew, this is going to be crazy, as Jeff Price, big wiggle, that was crazy coming out of turn number 4. But with Nathan Maurer staying out, he trapped all those trucks one lap down. Believe it or not, as we're hearing, a car has gone around in the back of the field. So we're still at only 10 trucks, believe it or not, on the lead lap. Let's see what happened towards the back of the field here just briefly. William Kerwin in the Office Depot 07. It has not been a great night for William Kerwin back there in that truck in turn number 3. Ooh, contact with Adam Dama, and Kerwin heavy into the wall, and that did not bring out a caution. We stayed green because that was so far back in the pack. We're back live now. Jeff Price, Randy Perdue, 1-2. Philip Scott squeaking on through. Jordan Scheffler, Stan Hausman, and Travis White sitting there in 8th. what has happened to Nathan Maurer. He slid back to 5th here, Drew, on those old tires, and here comes Jordan Shepler to take that spot away from him.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe he was trying to keep the field a lap down. The worst that 971 is going to fall to, Peter, is going to be 10. I can't imagine that he basically gets unlapped and then basically lapped by the 54 in the vast majority of the field. I just don't think that is particularly likely. He's not running that slow. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe that happens because, I mean, the 54 is just coming up on him now. And with, 43 laps to go, that's a whole lot to ask from basically the rest of the field to unlap themselves just for that last position in the top 10. Is now we have some racing back here between the 23, the 17, the 7 of Garrett Gleason, all battling right here. And it's kind of hard right now to figure out, are these battles for position, Peter, or are these battles that is a lot of trucks and not a lot of space right there coming out of turn 2. I think we have a 3 wide going into 3, and if, these guys need a caution, they might get it. Running 3 wide is so tough to do here at Iowa as the 23 got loose, the 00 Vincent Valvano a little sideways as well, as these guys are racing really, really hard here, Peter.
Yeah, we're just going to keep our eyes on this little group right now, see if they sort themselves out. I would say if there was going to be a caution right now, you're probably looking at it because these drivers, 2, 3 wide. There's Travis White on the high side, Doug Neal on the inside, Josh Sobel in the 57, who with that pit road penalty finds himself all the way down in 24th. I'm sure he'll be upset with that. Valvano shooting up the racetrack in the carsforcause.org. 00, number 54 on the scoring pile on 00 on the side of that truck. Now he's going to find himself 3 wide in the middle there briefly. Now Doug Neal is 3 wide in the middle in the number 77 Simbach Chevrolet. This is some great stuff, some great side-by-side action amongst these drivers as they continue to try and sort themselves out. Now the 23 all the way to the top side of the racetrack. There's not a whole lot of grip up there with all the marbles that get put on that high groove. No one really runs up there. There's bumps up there, so that is usually not a great spot to be, but they sort things out. Up at the front of the field, Jeff Price has gotten about a half of a second on the number 25 machine. Then Philip Scott finds himself in 3rd in the National Ninja League number 99 machine. Kind of the first time we've really mentioned the blue number 99 here tonight. He almost clips the wall out of 4. That gives Jordan Shepler a run to the inside. This is for a podium position. And the lap count is winding down pretty quickly here, Drew. Just now 37 laps to go here in the Iowa 200.
Yeah, and these laps, there's 200 of them here tonight, but they're only 24, 25-second laps. So they can click through really, really quickly if there's not a ton of yellows. And quite frankly, I think we've had, you know what? I'm not going to say it. Because I don't want to jinx these guys, especially guys like Jeff Price, Randy Perdue, and Jordan Shepler, who have made awesome strategy calls and absolutely nailed the race tonight. We're not going to say it. So, Jordan Shepler up to that 3rd position. But these guys back here, Nathan Maurer amongst them, really battling hard. And Peter, the only guy that did that green flag pit stop and undercut, and it worked out for, is that number 4 machine right there of Ben Mashburn. He did the undercut, got back out on the lead lap right before the yellow came out. Boom, Ben Mashburn back up now into 7th position, restarted in 10th position, rather. And a really good job charging forward for that number 4 machine. Is now we passed that fairly beat up number 07 truck there on the outside. And yeah, Peter, another thing, I mean, a legitimate crash into the outside wall, no caution, very peculiar right there. Now Matt Cherry, Jason Gracias, John Canizaro all battling right here. And this is for that lucky dog position, that Brookstone Animal Hospital lucky dog position that these guys are trying to settle amongst themselves, because if a caution comes out, this position would be so valuable right here. And once again, Matt Cherry doing a great job of holding off some hard chargers behind him.
Yeah, this is a very important position right now if a caution flag was to wave, and with the way they're racing one another, they might be the caution. There's maybe a little bit of contact between Gracias and Canizaro there down the backstretch, but Cherry is right now holding on to the spot as we only have 10 trucks on the lead lap after that last caution flag. Jason Chris Darling in the chat asking, does Nate have tires to take? Yes, Nate does have a set of tires. That, of course, being the 971 of Nathan Maurer. He did not take tires under that last pit stop to save a set of tires for the late race charge to the checkered flag if a caution flag was to come out. But there might not be another caution flag here tonight at the Iowa Speedway. We know Jeff Price in the number 14. He's got an extra set of tires sitting on pit road because he was a big beneficiary of when that caution flag flew. So he's in a good position. We know that Randy Perdue's in a pretty decent position in the number 25 machine, at least for now. This is definitely a very different top 5 to what we saw about 40 laps ago, with most of the drivers who were in the top 5 right here battling for that Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award. So been a pretty topsy-turvy night, all things considered, with now just under 30 to go.
Yeah, and I think that this is an argument for those tire set limits. Sometimes it works out in your favor, sometimes it doesn't, but it always adds an extra layer of strategy and planning that has to go on for these drivers, and the guys who nail it get rewarded, the guys who don't get rewarded. And honestly, Peter, it's so hard to know what the right decision is in the moment because you just don't know what's going to happen in the future, as Jason Gracias has taken that lucky dog spot away from Matt Cherry here at Iowa. So a pretty critical position change right there, as Stan Hausman in the number 39 machine, another beneficiary of that caution, now battling Philip Scott for that 5th position.
Yeah, Stan Hausman, the Beer Street Journal Ford F-150, he made the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series playoffs last season here in this particular series. I know he is a fan favorite, got that win last year at Talladega Super Speedway to lock himself into the playoffs last season. And here tonight, trying to go for a top 5, trying to run down that number 99 in front of him. But what a good night this could turn out to be from a very quiet early portion of the race for the Beer Street Journal F-150. I know we got the Beer Street Journal in the chat here tonight, so they want to see their truck run well here at the Iowa Speedway. And of course, we might still have the opportunity for Beer Street Journal last calls. We have the last call, and then we could even have a last call, the double last call if we have overtime. We don't really call them overtimes here in the National Sim Racing Association. We call them the Beer Street Journal last call because they are the sponsor of that. We thank them for participating here in the National Sim Racing Association sponsorships, and it's really cool to have them on that number 39 truck as well. Good looking ride. But we have a battle starting to brew for second between Randy Perdue and Justin White, and Drew Justin finished on the podium last night in the National Sim Racing Association Beer Street Journal Grand National Series, trying to make that 2 nights in a row here tonight at Iowa.
Yeah, already in that 3rd position, now trying to make it second is Justin White, doing a really, really solid job here tonight, as the groove has seemingly, at least the viable grooves have seemingly really migrated towards the top, as that 25 is rim riding relative to Iowa. Typically at Iowa, you know, there's kind of an upper middle groove and a lower middle groove. You typically don't have guys riding right on the top line, as I think that 07 is going to compromise that 25's exit, and we'll see if that number 2 of Justin White can take advantage of that at going to the bottom of Randy Perdue through 3 and 4. Not quite. It's going to be hard to get that inside lane to work when a truck is running as high as that 25 is and making it work. He's just going to carry so much speed center off, as now looking back at the number 12 of John Cannizzaro, the number 88, Nick Kessler. Haven't really seen much of him tonight. He is out there now battling for position, that 14th position, with John Cannizzaro, with Matt Cherry just in front of those drivers, as well as the 17 truck of Tristan Maher. This is all a battle for position. All of these trucks 1 lap down.
Yeah, all of these trucks 1 lap down in the 12th through the 15th position right now, and they are racing each other like they're battling for the race lead. I mean, these 4 drivers, they're not giving each other an inch right now on this racetrack, as we're down to just 20 laps to go here. Of course, anything can change. And as I say that, the 07 is in the outside wall. It has not been William Kerwin's night here tonight with the Carl Edwards throwback scheme, but we did see Nick Kessler make the pass on Cannizzaro, so slide him back to 15th. Tristan Maher, who was your CraigSetupShop.co.uk poll award winner at the top of the show, right now in 13th. He has a big wiggle out of turn number 4 underneath Matt Cherry. Cherry's going to hold on to 12th for right now. But look at this battle. Again, we mentioned this a little while ago, the battle for second, as the two of Justin White wants to call his own number here and get up into second in the Grinds number 2 machine.
Yeah, he's certainly working over the rear bumper. That number 25 just can't find a way by. Oh, up the track goes the 2. Oh, Jordan Scheffler just couldn't quite figure out a way to make that momentum work. But he is now trying to take advantage of this. And that's one thing, Peter, when you're this number 2, if you don't make this pass work and you compromise yourself, that 13 is so close that you might lose that podium place battling for second, and you end up not gaining anything and in fact losing a spot.
Yeah, Jordan Scheffler kind of late to the party, but still plenty of time to walk away with a podium finish here tonight. Jeff Price finding himself about 2.7 seconds up the road from this battle for second as they run, but Randy, what a great run it has been for this machine here tonight. 25 started in 8th, now running in second. Caution flag is in the air, and we're hearing Tristan Maher in the number 17 has gone around. What happened here, Drew, to bring out this late race caution? We can confirm Jason Gracias will be your Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award winner, and it looks like the 17 of Maher just got loose out of 4.
Yep, just kind of slides around, gets loose, gets it back under control, and we've seen worse incidents at the same part of the track with traffic around and not bring out caution. Hey, folks, it's iRacing. Who knows? That is a caution, and that really changes the complexion of this race. As yet, I thought he might have clipped the apron. I don't think he did. I think the rear just kind of stepped out on him, and then there you go. Caution is out, and again, the number 1, a huge beneficiary of this. But Peter, I mean, he's going to be quick. He's going to have fresh tires. I imagine the vast majority of these front runners have fresh tires. But with that lucky dog, you do go to the very tail end of the field. So he's going to have a lot of work to do if he wants to get up there and fight for this race win.
Philip Scott coming down pit road. Garrett Gleason coming down pit road. Nathan Maurer on pit road in the 971 machine, although... did he just go one lap down in the 971? No, I don't think so. He's coming back out there onto the racetrack. Not sure if he pitted when pit road was closed. That could be interesting to see if pit road wasn't open when the 971 came down pit road. But Philip Scott's taking on tires. He had a fresh set left. Travis White had a fresh set of tires on pit road. Garrett Gleason had a fresh set of tires on pit road. Jeff Price didn't come down pit road. Randy Perdue didn't come down. Justin White didn't. So I'm just trying to see here, Drew, who's going to be the first driver on 4 tires. We could be looking at maybe Philip Scott being the first driver on 4 fresh tires here under this caution. Let's see if we can bring up the pit stop times here tonight. Let's see if we can figure this out. So Jeff Price, 3 14-plus second stops. Jeff Price, he's out of tires. He doesn't have an extra set. Perdue, 3 14-plus second pit stops. He's out of tires. Justin White, same boat. Stan Hausman, same boat. Jordan Scheffler, I think Scheffler still had a set of tires on pit road. He didn't come down. Oh, he's coming down right now. Okay, so Jordan Scheffler passed up pit road more than once to come down pit road. So he's going to lose track position of that, but he's going to have 4 fresh tires. So that'll give him an advantage. But he's going to lose that track position. Philip Scott, he just came down for his final set of tires. So I think Philip Scott's going to be the first driver on 4 fresh tires here upcoming.
So Peter, I just looked at the replay. The pit entry lights were red when Philip Scott and the rest of those drivers came down pit road. So I think they came into a close pits. So I don't think that they're going to be up there battling with the lead lap trucks. I think that Jordan Scheffler came on the correct lap. Unless I'm seeing something weird, I think those lights right there that we just saw were red, at least on my screen. Now, I am not one of those leaders. So maybe that's a little bit of iRacing weirdness, but I think that there's a potential for this 99 to get a little bit of trouble here. I don't know. He's now starting to pass trucks, so maybe that is a thing that you can't see unless you're one of the participants in the race. I don't know.
Yeah, there is a bug. I'll be completely honest with you. There is a bug with the pit road lights when you are spectating. So I don't know. Maybe at least right now we're not seeing them drop to the back of the longest line. So I think Jeff Price, well, we know Jeff Price will be our race leader. He did not come down pit road. Randy Perdue will be restarting in second. Justin White, Stan Hausman, third and fourth. Ben Mashburn in fifth. And then you have drivers who just pitted. Philip Scott, Garrett Gleason, Travis White just came down pit road. Jordan Scheffler just came down pit road. Jason Gracias just came down pit road in the number 1 machine. Nathan Maurer just came down pit road in his number 971. So top 5 stayed out. 6th through 11th came down pit road, took on tires, and are on the lead lap. The bad news, Nathan Maurer looks like he definitely pitted Drew before pit road was open, so he's going to have a tail end of longest line penalty here. Jason Gracias, we know he's going to have a tail end of longest line penalty here in the number 1 machine because he got the lucky dog. So they're going to have to pick up a lot of ground here, maybe even get another caution. And who knows? We might have a Beer Street Journal last call. That might still happen with the count winding down to 0. But this is going to be an interesting restart. We might see some faces up here towards the front of the field that we haven't seen all night long because of different strategies. We'll have to see how it plays out. 10 laps to go when the green flag falls.
Yeah, and can that number 1 machine of Jason Gracias work his way forward? We'll find out in the next 10 laps as the number 14 of Jeff Price leads the field to the green flag here now on lap 191. And how quickly can that blue machine, Philip Scott, make his way through the field real quickly thus far? He's doing a great job. Hooks that bottom, gains a couple spots right there just through 1 and 2. How will 3 and 4 go? To me, Peter, this is the guy that is going to be able to capitalize. If anybody is on these fresh tires, he just has so much better track position that I think Philip Scott's in a great position as these guys are battling behind him. One thing that 99 does not want to see, though, is a caution, is the 88 down on the bottom part of the front stretch, gets it back going. No caution there. But, Peter, I wouldn't be surprised if we see some cautions going on here. These guys are going to be racing tooth and nail, trying to gain every position that they can, as that's what Philip Scott's doing right now, taking second position already away from the number 25 machine, now looking to chase down Jeff Price.
And the number 99, Philip Scott, up into second on fresh tires, just 0.6 of a second behind Jeff Price. 8 laps to go. Can he run him down in time? How about Garrett Gleason inside the top 5, looking to the side there of Ben Mashburn. He's going to get a run on Mashburn. And holy cow, we got one car upside down. Tristan Maher has going over and over, spinning around like a top on his lid. Caution flag waves.
Yeah, a big wreck there, Peter. You don't see a lot of air typically at Iowa. And right here, the 17 machine going through 3 and 4 had some dramas kind of recently. Tristan Maher, oh yeah, there you go. The rear end just over rotates. And is he going to hook? Is he going to hook? Oh yeah, he hooks right into the outside wall, puts in too much wheel. Boom, there you go. And a brutal impact for the 17 by the 24, and then the 17 just spins like a top down the front stretch.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the number 24 of Brandon White, his engine went pop in that. But you know what that means we're going to have to do here, Drew? We bring this out when a car goes up and over and over and over, and that's the good old 3-wide PV gyro. Can give that gyroscopic camera a workout here, and there it goes, and around we go. Hopefully you don't get motion sickness here, folks, here in 1080p, as he finally gets a good look of the Iowa grass. A couple of other trucks appear to have been potentially involved in that accident as well. So let's see if we can sort out who might have also been caught up in that scuffle. We'll see if the 55 of Steven Doziak might have been one of those trucks. He was a little bit further back in the pack. There he is. Look at Jason Gracias just squeaking on through there, Drew. Looks like Nathan Maurer, who was on fresh tires in the 971, getting into the side of Vincent Valvano. Those were the two other trucks that we saw having some troubles right there. They go for a 360 each. Oh, no! My goodness, the 81 comes in. What a night it had been for the number 81 of Randy Bledsoe, but that's going to be quite a bit of damage on that truck.
Yeah, that's kind of a late impact there. Just when you think it's over, you're like, okay, cool, I made it through. Wham! Oh, never mind. No, I didn't. But interesting to see. This helps the one, but I just think that the 99 has such good track position here that he's going to be in a really good position. But Peter, will this restart count as a Beer Street Journal last call? That's my question.
I don't think it will. It will be an unofficial Beer Street Journal last call. So the last call before the last call before potentially another last call. Do apologize if there was some connection issues there, folks. Just looking down at my statistics, and it looks like we might have had a little bit of a hiccup. Hopefully that is the only hiccup here tonight in the YouTube streaming department. But I want to thank each and every one of you for joining here tonight. Beer Street Journal saying, I have one for Beer Street Journal Discord. Beer Street Journal, if you want to post the link to your Discord in the chat, I will approve the link to your Discord in the chat. I myself might be jumping on that link to that Discord channel myself to hear if you have some good stuff. If not, feel free to message me or message Chris Darling the link to that so it can be distributed to me, because I want to get a hold of that Beer Street Journal Discord and join in on all of the chats that you might have. Of course, big fan of craft beverages myself, and I'll be curious to know what's going on up in your neck of the woods, just in the off chance we get some craft brews at a local pub here in town. But pace car lights are off here, Drew. I'm looking at Garrett Gleason's name up there inside the top 5, and of course he was alongside me last night. But the pace car lights continue to twinkle, and so we can say this will be an official Beer Street Journal last call upcoming.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I mean, I normally on Friday nights maybe enjoy a libation or two. Not tonight, though. I got to get up early, go to Coda, enjoy some motor scooters going real quick in a squiggly circle. So no beer tonight, but there will absolutely be beer tomorrow, and we'll deal with the consequences Sunday morning. But I think we're going to see some consequences of tire strategy unfold here in the next 2 laps when we get to the start-finish line this next time. And it's going to be interesting to see, because Philip Scott isn't the race leader. He doesn't control this restart. And I think if Jeff Price gets a really good restart, there's still a good chance that he might be able to hold this lead off enough to where if we get another caution, it's just going to be difficult for that 99 to necessarily position himself correctly here, Peter. So this isn't a foregone conclusion. The 99, of course, does have the tire advantage, but as the leader, you can get a substantial jump on that second place truck if you nail this restart. We're going to find out in just a second. An early restart from that number 14 machine. Don't change lanes. There we go. A solid restart right there. What can Philip Scott do as they head into turn 1?
Yeah, just 2 laps to go. And the number 25 of Randy Perdue, good restart for him. Garrett Gleason in the number 7 did not get going well. He's going to have a big shuffle of drivers, maybe even thinking about going 4 wide back there. Coming to the white flag. Will we see the white flag? Can these drivers keep things pointed in the right direction? They will. White flag is out. We will not have another Beer Street Journal last call. And Philip Scott looking to the inside for the race lead on the final lap.
Fresh tires, can they make the difference? Can he make the low line work? Not through 1 and 2. He's going to have to drive it in to 3 and 4. Oh, he tries. He's going to go to the high lane. I don't think so. What a job by the number 14 of Jeff Price to win here at Iowa on old tires.
And back behind him, an absolute scrum but everyone keeps it pointed in the right direction. Garrick Leeson getting shuffled out in the number 7 machine. He falls all the way down to 9th at the checkered flag, but a great drive by the Back Channel Productions. Number 14 continues that top 5 streak to start the season and picks up win number 1, making it 3 different winners in the first 3 events. How about that? Jeff Price getting the job done. Iowa 200 winner here on 3 Wide TV. And my oh my, Drew, did he have to earn it?
Yeah, he certainly did. What a job on that restart. Just to nail his marks. No mistakes from that 14. The 99, I don't think just quite, got a good feel for what he needed to do to get by him. And then on that last lap, the 14 just took the line away from Philip Scott, especially through 3 and 4, and did a great job of defensive driving and allowing himself the opportunity to grab this victory, which he certainly did here at Iowa.
That is for sure. What a great finish to the race here tonight, as Jeff Price does indeed get the job done. And now it's going to be a lot of fun, Drew, to go down, listen to some of these post-race interviews, because I'm sure some of them are going to be a little bit wacky with the way the night all went, because it definitely took some pretty crazy twists and turns throughout the majority of the race. Just looking to see if we can get all of these drivers down here into the 3 Wide TV booth. Bring in Randy Perdue. Let's make sure we don't bring in the other R in the R&R Motorsports, Randy Bledsoe. Randy Bledsoe, if you guys are curious, the other R in the R&R Racing, and one of the hashtag row 4 Randys. He finished down in 16th here tonight, but it was a good result for Randy Perdue at the end of the show. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's 3rd place finisher, driver of the number 25 machine. We were just talking about him. That is Randy Perdue up here into the 3 Wide TV booth. Randy Perdue, Peter Short, you got a copy?
I do. How you doing?
I'm doing mighty well. I know you are going to be doing mighty well here tonight as well. What a crazy race. Different strategies, different tire strategies. They're late. Cautions coming out at crazy times during green flag pit stops, but it all works out well for you. Great run here tonight. Started 8th, finishing in 3rd. Tell us about your run to a podium finish.
Yeah, the truck was good. Kind of had to figure it out a little bit. I didn't really get a good long practice run in. So you kind of had to move around a little bit to find out where it liked to be. It seemed to kind of move up the track throughout the run. It liked the bottom early, and then the middle, and then the high side seemed to be about the only place I could get it to make any progress.
Well, you definitely were able to find that high groove when it mattered most, and a really, really great job here tonight to maximize that truck. It seemed like you might not have had the long run pace of some of the drivers in front of you, but you kept your mindset clean and able to come away with a good run. I mean, what were your thoughts about Iowa? It seemed like out there on the racetrack here tonight, there was some crazy, crazy good side-by-side action. Going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people to watch on demand here over the next couple of days on replay of this race.
Oh, I definitely plan to go back and watch it. I know there was I'm not sure how many laps, but several laps there early that me and a couple other guys, we kept pretty wide over and over and over. It was a lot of fun, though. I love Iowa anyway. It's a great track, and just had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun to watch from up here in the booth. That is for sure, and a great run for you to boot here tonight. Next week we go to the Milwaukee Mile, a very, very flat racetrack, 1 mile in length. What are your thoughts about Milwaukee?
Well, I kind of like Milwaukee, and I seem to a lot of times do a little better at some of the flatter tracks. So hopefully that trend will continue.
Yeah, hopefully that trend will continue, that's for sure. But Randy, before we let you go, any shout-outs you'd like to give out here on 3 Wide TV?
Just shout out for JP Sweets and Treats, Quality Repair Services, and NSRA, and you guys up in the booth. You guys do an awesome job.
Well, we absolutely appreciate it. We have a lot of fun up here in the booth. I know you guys have a lot of fun down there in the race trucks. So together, I think we all have a lot of fun here in the National Sim Racing Association. But Randy, we'll see you next week at the Milwaukee Mile. We'll see whether you can make it back-to-back podiums at that very tricky mile racetracks. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, that's going to do it with our third place interview here tonight with Randy Perdue. Let's see if we can go down to tonight's runner-up driver of the number 99 machine. I thought that he was going to be the one in victory lane with those fresher tires, but he just came up a little bit short there, Drew. Philip Scott, take it away.
Hey, Philip Scott, Drew Eisman up here in the 3-wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Been a while, sir.
It certainly has. It's been a minute or so since you have spoken, but man, what a battle there at the end. You nailed the tire strategy, just one position short.
Yeah, so, first off, congrats to Jeff, because he blocked in all the right places at the end there. If it stayed green, like if it was like that first restart where it was like 10 to go or whatever, I feel like I could have gotten by him, but with 2 laps, he knows exactly what he needs to do. Just burn up his stuff and just block as much as he can, and that's exactly, he did it perfectly. There's no way I could have gone up to the high side, because maybe in 2 or maybe in 3 and 4, but honestly, like 1 and 2, there's that giant bump up there that I just lose all my momentum. So I tried on the last lap to try. He just kept me. He did a really good defensive drive there and kept me on the bottom. And then going into 3 on the last lap, I thought I dove it in far, and then he dove it in even further. And then I tried diving even more in the center of the corner, and then just couldn't quite get to him. I was gonna put the bumper, you bet, but but yeah, it's kind of bittersweet because I've been trying for a win for a long time in both T and R end here, and I mean I did win the TNR wildcard race, but like for example, earlier this week at Road America, I'm a road course guy, so I just locked it up on the last restart, and been beating myself up over it, and I've been getting closer and closer. Like ovals, I've taken a long time off of ovals to do a lot of road racing, and Peter can attest. I'm the points leader in the series. He was the champion in last season, the LMS. Shout out to them. So honestly, I feel like I've been slowly getting better at ovals because of my road racing, because that's the majority of what I do now. And but yeah, it kind of sucks that to get second, but I'm really glad that I could finally get a good finish. And I feel really good, especially after last week. Talk about last week, man. I was top 5 like the whole race, and then I had some aero damage last race, and I didn't realize it'd kill me on the restart, and it did, and that was very painful. And so I'm just glad I could get a little lucky this time. I'm glad it fell my way a little bit for once. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to hopefully this gives me some good playoff points, and I'm obviously looking forward to the Glen. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you as you said, I think one more lap you would have had him. You mentioned that it just didn't quite the last 2 laps. You didn't quite get it the way you wanted to. Did the truck do you think the tires were too cold? What kind of happened on that last restart? Because Peter and I both thought, man, he's just going to fly by. Do you think that cycle equalized him? Like what do you think happened there?
Yeah. I think my tires kind of cooled off. I felt pretty, even though I only had like 2 laps on the tires, I felt pretty understeery. So that was the main issue. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, because I was when we had those few green run laps, my tires were nice and warm, and I was rocketing through them, just being patient, picking off, but I felt like a rocket. And then on that second one, I just it wasn't nerves or anything. It was just kind of tight. Probably I've noticed here when the tires are cold, corner entry pretty tight. So that's probably what it was. But yeah, Jeff definitely had to really push for that one. I wanted that so bad. But there's plenty more opportunities. It'll come. I haven't really won in an oval series yet, but I have been winning pretty regularly in road racing. So yeah, we'll see. This is definitely a good confidence booster, especially last week's run when I did really good on the long run, and then this race, especially since I spun at the very start because I was super aggressive. I forgot about that. I tried making it 3 wide. I thought there was a hole, and someone came up, and then I managed to not wreck. And I was just thought to myself, maybe I can still get like a top 15 out of this. And then sure enough, chips fell my way, got second. So yeah, hopefully the day will come soon that I will win an oval race. I'm getting there.
Well, you certainly have an opportunity next week at Milwaukee, but before we let you go, let's hear those shout outs.
Oh yeah. So first off, of course, shout out to the league, Last Man Standing Motorsports, that I've been racing road there for a long time. You can probably find them on everything. Look them up on not Dan Lisa, Sim Racer Hub or whatever it's called now. Look them up there. Look them up on Facebook, YouTube, all that. Lots of great racing, for tons of road racing for beginners to experts, and field's gotten really tough this year. Lots of high I-rating guys. And also, of course, the National Ninja League. We have started our 7th season. Ninja, the sport, is alive and well. And as you can see, I kind of have a nice fancy blue. I have a very basic blue truck that I just rushed to make last week. And but yeah, we have 5 competitions this weekend. Hundreds of competitors over the weekend will be running, and so yeah, shout out to them. Shout out to us. But yeah, great to be back here.
Yeah, well, thanks for talking with us, Philip, and we look forward to what you can do next week, and especially in 3 weeks at Watkins Glen.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, I just realized that major gaffe up here in the 3-wide TV booth. I had Randy Perdue's name for the second place finisher. That obviously was not true. That was Philip Scott, folks, in the second place finish here tonight. Let's see if we can bring up, though, tonight's winner. We'll get this one right this time. Bring it up. Jeff Price, what a crazy run for you here in the number 14 machine. You started all the way back in 15th. You come home with the win. Tire strategy, fuel strategy, pitting strategy, cautions coming your way. Some crazy blocks there at the end in the Beer Street Journal last call. Tell us about your night.
Man, that was the most intense fun racing I have had in years. And I mean that for sure. This setup this truck handles so great. You could just put it wherever you needed. Yeah, it was loose, but man, if you were able to keep the rear tires underneath you and kept them happy, you could do whatever you wanted. I bumped into a couple guys, and I really feel like short track racing, but just starting back there, my whole goal was just to finish top 5, and then that early caution came out. I was fighting myself not to go take the tires, so I went ahead and went and took them, and then we had the second caution, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take it. So I took it, and yeah, rest is history, man. It was a lot of fun.
Well, at the end of your race, your tires were about 50 laps older than Philip Scott's. You got helped out with that late race caution, only 2 laps there. If that caution flag hadn't come out, do you think you would have been able to hold off Philip with those fresher tires?
I think if I could position my truck as well as anywhere I could, type of thing, if I could position it kind of on the last 2 laps there, he was really, really fast, but I could just hold my truck in the right position where he'd get tight coming off the corner or getting loose. I would have been able to, I feel do it. The big thing on that run, I stayed out as long as I possibly could. Like, I was 2 laps from pitting when the caution came out. And I just kept telling myself, please, caution, come out. Please, for once, just come out for me, because it never happens. And it happened. And throughout that run, as I started gaining time, I started trying to make the truck a little bit tighter. I was sending it further into the corner, but I was trying to keep it as straight as I could off the corners to keep the rear tires underneath it. And I felt like it worked. The second from last restart, I got that really, really good start, and I actually reviewed it because I got such a good start. But once I started hanging it out, and I was actually had more grip right then and there on the rear tires than I felt the entire night. So whenever he was chugging along, so I don't think I could have held him off, but I was going to give it everything I could have.
Well, definitely, caution flag did come out. You were able to hold him off. A great run for you in the number 14 machine, punching your ticket as well into the Stay Tuned Sports Truck Series chase. But 3 top 5 finishes to start off the seasons, a pair of 5ths, and now a win. How cool is it to get into the season with a hot start? And of course, tell us about next week at Milwaukee.
Man, I feel blessed. Like, last season, it was so bad for me. I didn't win. Like, last season was the first season I never won. Like, I've won in all the other seasons I've been here. And to last season to go winless and then have the really bad start I had last year. I think on race 5, I was 30-something in points. And then I felt like I got hot toward the end of the regular season. I charged back, and I just missed the playoffs. So I was really, really bummed. And then to come back this season and get 2 top 5s in a row, which was mind-boggling to me just to begin with, to have a points lead. I've never had a points lead here. And then next thing I know, I'm battling top 5, top 4, top 3, top 2. Then next thing I was leading. And, like, this is the first time in the series that I've actually been able to control a quarter of a race. Normally, I'm coming for, like, last lap passes, and that's most of my wins have come from here. And I was able just to get out front, control it, and it was a stinking blast. And I'm so blessed to be here, sitting on the start-finish line. I had one of the best celebrations I feel like I've had in a long time. I was just really ecstatic. I was scared that they were going to get past me, and I don't remember what the regular question was, but it was. I'm just really happy to be where I'm at right now, and have a points lead and be locked in. I'm ecstatic. I can't really contain it. Probably not going to be able to sleep tonight now, so I'm just ready to get on the next week. Next week, I'm not too strong at that flat track. I'm really struggle there. But if I can knock out another top 10, I'll be great. But I think there's going to be a lot of, just like last season, there's going to be a lot of great racing there, and I really think it's going to be fun for the series to be there.
Well, you got Bo's questions answered there, Jeff, and we can tell that you are super excited to have such a good start off to the season. And sure enough, you will extend your points lead over Jordan Shepler, Travis White, TJ Buck, and the rest of the crowd. But hey, before we let you go, I know you got some shout outs, so let's hear them.
First and foremost, Back Channel Productions, man. This guy is so awesome. Check him out on YouTube, Facebook. Really puts out some great content on YouTube, so go check him out. Stay Tuned Sports podcast. I can't even remember. Really an awesome podcast. I listen to it while I'm at work. It's really, really an entertaining podcast. I have ADD, so I have to listen to stuff just to be able to stay focused at work. As you can tell, I go off on rambling all the time, but really a great podcast. Go check them out. Y'all for broadcasting. The great setup brought in by Justin, Chris, and everybody, all the people who put this on for us. I really appreciate it. And I'm ready to get this night celebrated. So.
All right. Well, we'll let you go celebrate it. Jeff, congratulations on the win. We'll see you again next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Well, folks, that's going to do it with tonight's race winner, driver of the number 14 machine of Jeff Price. And Drew, you can obviously tell that he is one very, very happy camper. That is for sure. Let's see if we can bring up tonight's final race results. However, for all of you people back at home, Jeff Price, the race winner. Philip Scott coming home in second. Randy Perdue in third. Fourth place was the Taz Racing Customs Biggest Mover of the Race Award winner. Make sure to check out Taz Racing Customs for all of your custom diecast needs. That was Jason Gracias picking up 22 positions en route to a top 5. Another top 5 for him after winning last week at Atlanta. Travis White coming home in 5th. Jordan Scheffler 6th. 7th, Justin White. 8th, Ben Mashburn. 9th, Garrett Gleason. And 10th, Nathan Maurer, Drew.
In 11th position, that 54 truck of Matt Cherry up front all night. We're starting to really get into the guys who didn't quite nail the tire strategy that happened throughout the race. Stan Hausman in that 39 truck finishes 12th. Doug Neal led a lot early on, brings it home in 13th. Cody Brown in that number 8 truck in 14th. Nick Kessler, a decent recovery given the drama that 88 truck had fairly late. He finishes 15th. Randy Bledsoe in 16th. John Cannizzaro faded late in this race to finish 17th. Steven Doziak in 18th position. Then in 19th, we have TJ Buck, and then Joshua Corner will round out our top 20.
And taking you through the rest of the field here tonight, 21st, Vincent Valvano, 22nd, Adam Dama. These drivers 6 or more laps down from here on back. Brandon White, 23rd. Tristan Maher, who was your pole sitter at the top of the show, brought to you by our friends over at craigssetupshop.co.uk. Make sure to check them out for all of the best iRacing simulation setups that you can buy. In 25th, William Kerwin. Josh Sobel, 26th. After his pit road speeding penalty, he decided to call it a night. Evan Bushbosher, 27th. Chris Darling, who from the race lead was taken out, unfortunately finishing 28th. Brian Kaufman, 29th. Monty Glover, who only made the opening 28 laps, finishing in 30th. And Scott Tompkins did not start here tonight at the Iowa Speedway. So a very interesting night, that is for sure, here in the Iowa 200, brought to you by our friends over at the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast and the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. Drew, a very interesting night. We had a little bit of everything on hand. Going to be fun next week at Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Milwaukee. My personal favorite oval in the world, Milwaukee Mile. It's bumpy, it's flat, it's difficult, and it's going to be a blast to watch these drivers try to conquer one of the most difficult miles in all of motorsports.
That's for sure. I'm sure we'll see lots of different styles to get around the flat track next week. I'm very much looking forward to it. 9 o'clock Eastern right here on 3 Wide TV, October 8th. 2021. Should be a lot of fun. But for myself, Peter Short, Drew Eisenman, and everyone else in the 3 Wide TV family, folks, stay safe, have a good night, and we shall see ya!